stick it out till the end. Now that it's raining more than ever, know that we still have each other. You can stand under my umbrella, you can stand under my umbrella. Ella, Ella.
Hey guys, welcome back. Welcome to the sewing version of this tutorial. In case you've not seen the pattern drafting of this notched collar jacket, I'm going to leave the link in the comment section. Go ahead and watch it before you come join us on this particular one. So in my previous video, we drafted out a pattern for this notched collar jacket. So I went ahead to use the pattern paper to cut on my fabric. So I added 1 inch to the base, that is the length. I added 1 inch to the side, which is my stitching allowance, and on the center front, on the neckline area and the armhole area, I added half an inch. Okay, so I've gone ahead to remove my pattern paper and I'm going to remove my pins. So I went ahead to cut out 4 pieces for the front. This is the front. 2 pieces is going to serve as the lining and the remaining 2 pieces will be the main fabric. So I want the lining piece to be shorter than the main piece because I want to fold it inward. So the lining piece and the main piece is not the same length. So I'm going to reduce this lining by 1 inch. I'll mark 1 inch all the way to the end and then I'll cut it out. After cutting, guys, this is what I have. Okay, so the length for the main piece will remain the same. I only reduced the length of the lining piece. So these are my 2 main pieces for the front. I'm going to arrange them in place like this. So I'll place the lining piece that I just trimmed on it, and you can see that the lining is 1 inch shorter than the main fabric, which is what I want. So I'm going to keep this aside. For the back, guys, the back should be on fold. Make sure the center back is on fold. Okay, I went ahead to add 1 inch to the base, and I added half an inch to the neckline area, the shoulder area and the armhole area, and on the side I added 1 inch, which is going to serve as my stitching allowance. I'll go ahead and remove my pattern paper and I'll remove the pins. So you can see that my center back is on fold and I have 2 pieces. One piece is the lining and the other one is the main piece. So once I open it up, this is what I have. I'm going to drop the main piece, and for the lining piece I'll repeat the same thing that I did for the front. I'm going to reduce it by 1 inch because I want the lining to be 1 inch shorter than the main fabric. I'll go ahead and cut. After cutting, this is what I have. So I'm going to bring my back piece and I'm also going to place the lining piece on it, right sides facing right sides. After doing that, you can see that the main piece is longer than the lining piece by 1 inch. The next one is the collar. So I've gone ahead to cut out the collar on my fabric and I added half an inch all the way around this collar. Okay, so all the allowance that you can see is half an inch. So I'm going to go ahead and notch the center back of the collar. So this side is the center back. I'll go ahead and notch it so I know where to sew to the center back when I'm sewing. I'll go ahead and remove my pins. So make sure that the center back of your collar is also on fold. It's very important. After opening it up, guys, this is what I have. You can see the part that I notched, that is going to be joined to the center back of the shirt. So this is my lining piece and the right side is facing me. I'm going to go ahead and place the 2 fronts on this back. So I'm placing them right sides facing right sides. After placing it, I'll go ahead and pin the shoulders. Okay, I'll pin the shoulders in place. I'll also place the second part of the front and I'll pin the shoulders. I'll also go ahead and pin the 2 sides. After doing that, I'm going to use my half an inch allowance to join the both shoulders, and I'll use the 1 inch, which is my stitching allowance, to join the 2 sides. I'll also go ahead and repeat the same process for the main piece. So I'll place them right sides facing right side, just like this, and I'm going to pin the shoulder area together. I'll also pin the sides. I'll sew the shoulder with my half an inch allowance and the sides with my 1 inch allowance. After sewing it in place, guys, this is what I have. This is what the lining looks like. Please pardon my lining. This tutorial is a test run. I want to see what I'll be able to achieve first with this fabric before I sew it proper on another fabric. So this is the main piece. Before I forget, I'm using a crepe fabric for this tutorial. It's a really thick crepe fabric, so I'll advise that you use something a little bit light, not too thick and not too light. Okay, after sewing, guys, I'm going to go ahead and fold the neckline area as you see me doing into 2 equal halves, and then I'm going to notch the center back. After notching, guys, I'll repeat the same thing for the lining, and I'll bring in my collar. So remember, I notched my collar earlier. I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to place the notched part of this collar. I'll place it on the notched part of my center back. In case you are confused, just look at what I'm doing. I'm going to place it like so, and then I'm going to pin all the way around. Remember, the collar is not supposed to get to the neckline area. It's going to stop at that V-shape area. I don't know how to explain, but while we're drafting the collar, there's this part that has like a V shape. That's where the collar is supposed to stop. Okay, this is what I mean. Okay, so the remaining part of the collar is going to fall to the back. In case you don't understand, just follow these steps. The same way I sewed the collar to the main fabric, I'm going to repeat the same process for the lining piece. After doing that, I'm going to go ahead and notch where I just sewed, just so it's going to stay flat when I iron. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm using a very thick fabric, and this fabric is not easy to iron, so make sure you notch is very important. That way your fabric stays flat when you iron. After notching, guys, this is what I have. So I repeated the same thing for the main fabric. What I'm going to do is to place this lining piece right sides facing me, and I'm going to bring the main fabric, which I've also sewn the collar in place. I'll place them right sides facing right sides, and I'm going to pin all the way around. So I'll pin the collar around, I'll pin the base also, I'll pin the front. The only part I'm not going to pin is the armhole area. I'm going to leave that part open because that is where I'm going to use to turn everything inside out when I'm done sewing. So take your time to pin so everything aligns. After pinning, I'm going to go ahead and sew. I hope you guys are not confused at this point. So I'll sew the collar area, I'll sew the base. After sewing, guys, this is what I have. I've sewn all the way around except the armhole area. What I'm going to do is to go ahead and notch all the way around. So make sure you notch so everything stays flat. I'll notch all the way. After notching, I'm going to turn everything inside out through the armhole area. After turning it to the right side, guys, this is what it looks like. You can see that the rough edges, everything is inside the lining. So I'm going to go ahead and iron so everything stays flat. After ironing, this is what I have. This is what it looks like. You can see what I was trying to explain about the collar area. Even though I feel like the V part of the collar is too deep, so like I said, this is just a test run. Whatever mistake I make when I'm sewing on my other fabric, I'm just going to correct all those mistakes. But make sure you do yours well so that it comes out okay. And the choice of fabric also matters. The next thing I'll do is to measure around the armhole area to cut my sleeves. Okay, after measuring, whatever I have is what I'll be using to cut out the sleeves. So what I have is 20 inches, and this is the fabric I'll be using for my sleeves, and the fabric is folded into two. What I'll do is to place my tape on the on the closed edge of this fabric, and I'll go inward by 3 inches. I'll indicate the 3 inches mark, and on the opened edge I'll go down by 3 inches. I first of all went down by 3 inches. I'll now use my free hand to connect, just like you see me doing. This is a basic sleeves. After connecting, I'll go ahead and measure what I have around the sleeves area. So after measuring, what I had was 10.5 inches or thereabouts, which is not enough. I need 11 inches because 10 inches is what I have around the armhole area. 10 plus 10, which is 20 inches, okay? And I'll be adding stitching allowance to it. So I increased the measurement that I took on the opened edge of this fabric. I took 3 inches earlier. I went down by another 1 inch, making it 4 inches, and I connected from this point to meet the 4 inches, and then I measured all the way around. What I had was 11 inches, which is enough. And for the wideness of the sleeves, I went ahead to add 2 inches to my round sleeve measurement, and then I connected like this. After doing that, I'll go ahead and cut. After cutting, I'm going to place this one on the other fabric and I'll cut. The length of my sleeves is 10.5 inches. So for the second sleeves, I'll go ahead and fold my fabric into two, and I'll place this one on it, and then I'll trim. After trimming, I'll notch the center. So these are my two sleeves. What I'll do is to pin the sides, okay, right sides facing each other. I'll pin. I'll go ahead and use the 1 inch stitching allowance that I left to sew all the way down, and then I'm going to hem the base of the sleeves. After sewing the sleeves in place, this is what I have. I went ahead to also hem the base of the sleeves, and I turned it to the right side. What I'm going to do is to now join the sleeves to the armhole area of my jacket. So I'm going to turn it to the right side, and I'm just going to fix it, okay? So the notched part of the sleeves, I'm going to place it on the joining that I have on the shoulder area of the jacket. After doing that, I'll turn the jacket to the wrong side, and I'll pin the sleeves all the way around. After pinning the sleeves, I'll go ahead and sew, and I'll repeat the same thing for the other parts of the sleeves. After sewing the sleeves in place, go ahead and sew in your button to where you want to sew it to. You can do 1 button, 2 button, it depends on the length of your jacket. So for me, I'll be fixing like 2 buttons. So yeah guys, that is all for this tutorial. I hope it was helpful. Don't forget to like this video, leave your questions in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.